We've got a brand new exciting episode for you. Please welcome your host.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Simply Focused podcast with Bibiana Czerny. Welcome. So today is day 1 of the SOLWorld-Conference 2025, and it's my first SOLWorld-Conference that I'm going to do a podcast. But it's already my 3rd SOLWorld-Conference that I've been to, so I'm so excited. I already got ready, and now I'm just going to go to eat breakfast. So I just arrived at the SOLWorld, and it's so cool. I know so many people, and it's so cool. Or most of they know me, but I don't know them. But that's okay. So I just got in. I just got my book that I can write stuff in, and yeah, now it's gonna be soon the introduce that we know which room is where, and then I will get my room for the podcast, and then it all will start, and I will interview people. Bye guys! Hi, I'm interviewing 2 ladies in the SOLWorld. So, what is your name?
My name's Liana.
And what is your name?
My name is Samantha.
Liana, where do you come from?
I come from the Netherlands.
And Samantha, where do you come from?
I also come from the Netherlands.
Liana, what is your backstory that you came, or who introduced you to SOLWorld?
We were introduced to SOLWorld because we are student counselors, and a lot of us do a solution-focused year program that's done by an organization that we work with a lot. And Anton Stellemans, who's just one of the hosts, is one of the trainers for that year program. And we were very inspired by him. And so when we had the opportunity to attend SOLWorld, we jumped at it.
Great. And Samantha, what is your backstory, or who introduced you to SOLWorld?
I did the same year program, solution-focused year program, and it was very inspiring. And Anton was one of the most inspiring teachers. So yeah, it's kind of the same. Once we found out that this conference was organized here in Mechelen, which is for us is like an hour and a half to get here. Yeah, we jumped at the opportunity.
Great. So, in which workshop were you guys?
We were in Scramble Your Session, which is about Aikido and Dice for Coaching Mastery by Hiroaki Nishida.
Okay. And what did you do there?
Well, we learned about how solution-focused is actually, you could perceive it as an art form. And I found it very interesting how he also used Aikido as like, how would you say? He used like a lot of Aikido examples to explain us about how solution-focused is like an art where you also have to improvise and be flexible. And I found it very interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Great. And what was the coolest thing you did, like, with people? What was the coolest thing you did?
I think the coolest thing that I did was the first exercise where I paired up with Mark, which was someone from the United States, I believe, or at least North America, where I had to coach him using the dice. So I had to roll the dice, and based on what topic, what area it came up on, I had to improvise a question or something to say. And it was very freeing just to sort of let the dice decide. And what was noticeable was that you can actually have a very good conversation, a very good coaching session, just by really listening and letting the dice decide.
And what was on the dice where you rolled it? What was the dice's answer?
So there was 6 options, and one of the things was platform, which is one of the first things you do in order to sort of like get the conversation going. So what is your hope for our talk today? What do you hope to talk about? Do you have any thoughts or insights so far? But there's also compliment, where you can compliment the coachee on something that you've just heard. And there was the skill part of the dice, where you can actually try to help someone figure out, okay, where are you on the scale of 1 to 10, and how would you maybe get to a higher number on the scale?
Great. And why was that the coolest thing you did? Like, why would you think that is the coolest thing?
Well, it was a very cool way to get out of your own head and sort of really be in the moment, which is a very good thing when you're trying to coach someone. And because I'm relatively new to solution-focused working and coaching, I have the tendency to get a bit nervous and really want to do it right by the steps. And this made me realize that it's not necessarily about the steps, but it's more like an attitude, like a practice. And that really, I thought that was the coolest thing.
Great. And Samantha, what was the coolest thing you did?
Well, I really liked one of the exercises, also a coaching session, but where the coach had to speak English, so ask all the questions in English, but the client would speak in their native language, which would not be English. So I paired up with a lady from Germany, Christiana, so she answered my questions in German. And I barely understood what she would say. But still, it was so interesting to notice that even without really understanding what she would say, you could have a great coaching session. It would be very helpful.
But still, did you understand something, like maybe tiny words? And if you understood tiny words, what words were they?
I kind of understood some parts of it, so I knew that she was really responding to the question I was asking. But it was interesting to notice that it wasn't necessary for me to understand every little thing she would say in order to have it be a useful conversation. I really felt that it was helpful for her. Well, I didn't even get what she was saying half of the time. So it was interesting, yeah.
Okay. And why was that the coolest thing you did?
Because it's what Liana just said. It's not about, the steps or the skills or the specific questions you have to ask. It's about being present, listening, being flexible based on what your client is not necessarily saying, but, I think the communication is not only the language, but also you can see that somebody's, getting ahead in terms of, making steps and when it comes to their problem. Yeah. It was interesting that I could do a coaching session with somebody from Japan, apparently.
Okay, great. So that was the interview with Liana and Samantha. Bye, guys. So I'm here with a man, and what is your name?
My name is Dominic Goda.
Perfect. Dominic, where do you come from?
I come from Switzerland.
And what is your backstory that you came, or who showed you Solution World?
I got to know Solution Focused in 2003 through Peter Sabo, and he said, you have to come to the Soul Conference. So I joined my first Soul Conference at 2005.
That's a great story. So in which workshop were you?
I was in a workshop with Fabian Stalter and Danny Meyer about AI coaching.
Wow, that is cool. What did you actually do in the workshop?
They showed us an AI bot, and we could try that and talked about it afterwards.
Cool. What was the coolest thing you did there?
I think the coolest thing was to try out the AI bot and try to self-coach me with that. And that was really a good experience to see what AI can do.
So the bot coached you?
Yes, the bot coached me, and I brought in my topic, and then the AI bot asked questions.
That was really, really cool. And why was that the coolest thing you did? Why is that the coolest thing?
Because I'm interested in AI, and to see the potential that an AI bot has in coaching is great for me, because I saw that in the future probably AI bots or robots will support us and support people, like an elderly person, for example, who's alone, could easily be joined by an AI robot bot to have a solution-focused conversation.
That is really, really cool. Thank you for being in my podcast. So, thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm going to interview two ladies. So, what's your name?
My name is Susanne.
And what is your name?
My name is Sandra.
Where do you come from, Susanne?
I come from Austria.
And where do you come from, Sandra?
I'm from Switzerland, from Lucerne.
Susanne, what is your backstory or who introduced you to Soul World?
My backstory is that I'm an HR manager, an experienced one, and I got to know Solution Focus many, many years ago during my education as coach. And to the Soul World and this conference in specific, Elfie was introduced me, and also Ute.
Okay. And Sandra, what is your backstory from Soul World or who introduced you to Soul World?
Actually, I'm an HR manager too at interim, so I met Susanne through Elfie, and Elfie introduced me to Soul World and the whole solution-focused journey I started years ago with Marco Ronzani.
Okay. In which workshop were you guys?
Just in the afternoon now we held our own workshop, Sandra and me, and we talked about to survive or to co-create a survival guide for professional life.
Okay. And Sandra, what did you do in the workshop?
I co-hosted the workshop with my dear colleague Susanne, which was very fun because we have a lot of funny stories. We are getting into really difficult situations as HR managers, and it's amazing to listen to Susanne's stories, and I would like to hear more from you.
Okay. Susanne, what was the coolest thing you did? Just personally.
In the workshop.
In the workshop. Yes, in the workshop.
I think the coolest thing was something Sandra did and not me, because she started the workshop with a body exercise just to really make us everybody focused and relaxed and aware, and so this was really a cool thing.
Okay, great. And why was that the coolest thing for you?
Because we talked when we prepared the workshop, we talked about it, but actually couldn't imagine in detail what Sandra is planning. And so in the middle of the workshop, I realized what she is actually doing. So this was nice because I was surprised by myself, even I prepared the workshop.
Okay. And Sandra, what was the coolest thing you did or what you did with Susanne?
The coolest thing with Susanne was that we co-created the workshop in the very moment. That we are, both of us are really improvising things. We had some ideas, but I really like the way Susanne is working. I think we should do some stuff more.
Okay, and why was that the coolest thing for you?
It makes much more. It's much more fun to do something together than by my own, because it's it's somehow. There are moments that surprised me, and I was then more surprised that it was not a surprise. Yeah, it's the co-creation I really like.
So, what is your name?
My name is Tim.
Where do you come from, Tim?
I come from the UK, near Manchester in England.
Okay. What is your backstory or who introduced you to Soul World?
So I went to my first Soul conference in Liverpool in, I forget the year, but maybe 2017. And I've been on 4 of the Soul World retreats. So really nice to be back at a Soul conference and see everybody. And also I am one of the directors of the UK Association for Solution Focused Practice.
Okay. So in which workshop were you?
So I've just been in the workshop, which was co-creating a survival toolkit for our workplace.
Okay, and what did you do in that workshop?
So we reflected on some of the things that we'd managed very well, even though there were challenges, and that helped us work out what we did and what works really well for us, identified things in common.
Okay, and what was the coolest thing you did for you?
Oh, well, the coolest thing was that it really made me think, and I thought about the support that is really important that we share with each other, not just one way, but backwards and forwards. And yeah, that was a really nice thing to think about. Very, very important.
Okay, and why was that the coolest thing for you?
Well, that was the coolest thing because it was a new thought. And at the end of the workshop, we did a really nice thing where we had to write out support, to write out our word, which for me was support. And then we had to write some phrases against each letter using the first letter. And that helped me remember. So when I look back at my notes, I'll be able to remember all sorts of things about the workshop, which is really cool.
Okay, cool. So this was the interview with Tim. Bye. Hi, and I'm going to interview this man. What is your name?
My name is Jonas Wells.
Jonas.
Yeah.
And where do you come from?
I come from Sweden and England, but I live and work in Sweden.
Okay. And what is your backstory from Soul World, or who introduced you to?
Well, my first SOLWorld-Conference was in 2004, so that's a long time ago. And it was a dear friend of mine, Björn Johansson, he's unfortunately deceased now, but he introduced me to this world, and I remember it very explicitly being there was a before in my life and there was an after in my life from that conference in Stockholm 2004. I love this community. I just love coming back to it.
Okay. And in which workshop were you?
I had my own workshop together with a couple of friends, Port from Holland and Susan, a friend of mine from Sweden. We did a workshop this morning on training trainers. So helping, what do we learn from training people to become trainers, and how does that change the way we look at the work we do and stuff. I really loved that. That was one of the workshops. And the second one was Hasten Moon's workshop on questions and statements. It was very technical, but it was lovely.
What did you do in that workshop, the first one?
Well, I was a presenter, and I asked questions, and we got people into groups, and there was a lot of learning. We listened a lot, and we were very curious about each other's ideas. I love that.
Okay. What was the coolest thing you did?
Oh, that's a really good question, Bibi. What was the coolest thing I did? I think just staying in the flow, being... a friend of mine, Marco, who was in the workshop, he commented on this because he said something. He felt confused. At a little moment, he was a bit confused. And my response was, I loved it. So I think the coolest thing was I loved it when people were confused or when we didn't really know where to go. I was just there. I just loved that. So maybe that was the coolest thing.
And why was that the coolest thing from you?
It's this idea. This is, idea and solution focus on being, accepting. We're actually not you and I. We are we. We work together, right? So there was no separation. That we were all just one. That's why I think it's really cool.
Okay. Bye. Hi, I'm gonna interview. How's your name?
Hiroaki Nishida.
Okay. Where do you come from?
I'm from Kyoto, Japan.
And what is your backstory, or who introduced you to Soul World?
So SOLWorld, my first SOLWorld was 2009 in Texel, Netherlands. And that was, I read a book written by Makago, Solutions Focus, but it was translated into Japanese. And I liked it so much, so I contacted to the translator, who is Aoki-san. And he took me to, I helped him as a administrator for Japanese team, and I accompanied them, and that was my first Soul experience.
Okay. In which workshop were you?
I was giving workshop in the first slot. So this was something about martial arts, Aikido, and also coaching dice, which is a training tool for coaches that I created. And also the second workshop is the every key is right key. What was the name? The Kim San's workshop.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you do in the workshop?
In my workshop, I introduced with many things. I shared my life stories, and we did a lot of physical experiments, which comes from Aikido, about how the mind changes our body and how it is connected to solution focus and how we harmonize with other people. And also, I explained a little bit about ecological approach, which is a very interesting or maybe revolutionary skill acquisition theory. And also, I introduced my tool, which is coaching dice. Yeah.
Okay. What was the coolest thing you did there?
Well, doing presentation in English itself is a challenge for me, and I think it went well. So, and what is the coolest thing? Well, yeah. I'm kind of proud of what I have done in the workshop. Especially, I could include a lot of experience, interaction, and also I was not reading the PowerPoint, but I was really talking in my word. Yeah.
And why was that the coolest thing for you?
Well, it's a challenge. I was preparing for this workshop for like using 1 month, asking for help of other people. In the beginning, I was trying to make concrete presentation with a lot of text and so on. But I somehow decided to just take it away and, be myself. And that journey was very interesting for me, and it was learning. Yeah.
Thank you, for being here. Hello, I'm going to be interviewing. Well, how is your name?
My name is Ute and I come from Austria.
What is who introduced you to Soul World?
Actually, a friend I know from the systemic constellation work. It's Marco Ronzani who introduced me to Soul World about, I think, 11 years ago. And 11 years ago, I was at my first SOLWorld-Conference in Stockholm. And I liked it so much that I have been coming back ever since.
Cool. Which workshop were you?
Today I've been to the workshop of a very nice Japanese colleague who introduced the connection between Aikido, martial art, and solution-focused coaching. And in the afternoon, I've been to a workshop with John Brooker and his friend John from Australia, introducing the solution-focused decision circle. I like that very much as well.
So, what did you do in the workshop where the second one that you told us?
John Brooker introduced a way to take decisions in a complex system or in complex questions. And normally the question, if there's decision making, you decide for a project, for example, you decide yes or no or maybe. So only 3 options. But John Brooker introduced, and his colleagues introduced a solution circle decision tool where there is 8 different options, where people who are not so sure yet whether they think an option is good or not have also a voice and can express why they're hesitating or express why while they are still concerned and haven't made a decision yet. So I think that is a very cool tool we can use in different contexts, maybe in teams, but also for preparing for a decision in a one-to-one coaching setting. Even for yourself, you could try to do that, I think.
Okay, so what was the coolest thing you did there?
Well, the coolest thing I did today was a coaching with Bibi. Actually, I have to swap to a different session which I attended with you actually, and that was my coolest experience so far today. We had a very cool coaching session there. You coached me so well. Thank you for that again.
You're welcome. And like in the workshop that you just told us about, the 8 options, what was the coolest thing you did there?
The coolest thing I did there was trying out this decision circle. So we had a subject, a sort of made-up subject. The made-up subject was that we pretended that tonight's venue couldn't take all the guests and it was cancelled, and it was decided that everyone goes to a steakhouse instead. And with the help of this solution-focused decision circle, we divided up in groups what we think of these new options. And so some people said, we're fully into it, we think that's a good option. Other people could say, like, I don't really mind, I go with the group. So it's a sort of a yes. But then, so there's sort of 4 options for the yes, but with little bit different nuances, and 4 options who go more or less in the no direction. But we could, for example, say, well, I would go to the steak restaurant if I could sit on a different table where I can eat just my salad and my potato chips, for example, without seeing any bloody steak. And we could. It was a really nice way to explore everything about the decision process. I like that very much, to experience it and to try it out.
Great, that is so cool. And why is that the coolest thing you did, think?
I think because, it's always very nice to hear a new model or to learn about a new tool, but it stays very abstract if you don't try it out. So if you go there and can try it out straight away, I think it's just so cool. It's just like, like talking about skiing, and you just see the slope and can't go down in the nicest snow, and you can't try it out. Once you... it's always better to try a new way of skiing on your own, isn't it?
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for this nice interview.
I thank you for the lovely questions, Bibi, and I'm looking forward to talking to you now when we will sit together at the dinner party.
Yes. Thank you, Ute.
Thank you, Bibi.
Hi, guys, and I'm going to interview a lady now. So, lady, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Pamela King.
Where do you come from, Pam?
I come from the United States. I live in Utah, and I'm originally from Colorado.
Wow. What is your backstory, or who introduced you to SOLWorld?
I've known about SOLWorld for a number of years, and it's been the fun conference. You need to go to SOLWorld because it's the fun conference. This year in particular, Jonas Wells said, Pam, you should submit a proposal. So here I am. First time.
Wow, that is really cool. It's your first time, right?
Yes, that's right.
Great. And which workshop were you?
Well, I've attended several, and I'm looking forward to more tomorrow. The workshop where we talked about glimmers was inspirational for me. We started with a photograph in our phone and told a small story about a hopeful glimmer. And I like that idea because sometimes we don't have big hopes. We just have small little things that give us a spark of joy, just a little bit of glimmer. And that was meaningful for me.
Cool. So, what was the coolest thing you did?
I think throughout the conference, being able to connect with people that I already know and to meet new people and expand my solution focus circle. Just being here, being with the people that I think similarly, and we have similar ways of working. It's a joy.
And why is that the coolest thing you did?
Because I am a people person. I like being around people. I had the opportunity to dance with you, Bibi, and I loved that.
Woo.
Just being with people is a great thing.
Great. Thank you, Pam. That was a great interview.
Thank you so much.
Hello and welcome. I'm going to interview a lady. What is your name?
My name is Victoria Spachenko.
And where do you come from, Victoria?
I come from Ukraine. I live in the capital, Kyiv.
Okay. And what is your backstory or who introduced you to SOLWorld?
You know, really, I don't remember who exactly it was, but I will share you the situation. That was a long time ago. I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And I was in a group at the strategic session. And there was a person sitting next to me. After 2 hours of our discussions, he said, "Okay, Victoria, for how long have you been practicing solution-focused approach?" And I heard at that time nothing about the solution-focused approach. So I said, "I'm practicing what?" And he said, "The solution-focused approach." I said, "I know nothing about it." And so what is it actually about? So what is it? And he said, "That's what you have been doing for the last 2 hours." And then I got curious. So I started to read books, and then I met the wonderful solution-focused community. Yeah, and somehow it became an important part of my life.
Okay, that's great. Now, in which workshop were you? Or in which workshop are you going to tell us about?
You mean which workshop I delivered? Yeah, session. Okay. So that was about glimmering and about glimmers.
Yes.
Do you know what the glimmers are?
Quite, yeah.
Yes. So now tell me, so there are some moments in your life when maybe all of a sudden you feel a little moment of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard these moments?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes they come out of the blue. Yeah, you do not expect them, but they come. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you decide consciously to choose a moment which is very important, positively important to you. So these small moments of joy, sparkles of joy, are called glimmers.
Ah.
Because they glimmer. You know, if you look at the water, you see the water glimmering. Yeah?
Yes.
There are some small parts of water. So that's exactly the same in life. There are some moments that glimmer more to you.
Great, cool. So what did you do in that workshop?
What did we do at the workshop? We had, I think, a nice conversation. And that was about different things. About, for instance, about the glimmering diaries. Mm-hmm. Because if you decide to register your glimmers, you can have a little book of glimmers or a glimmers diary. And you can sometimes, especially when you are not feeling very well, or you are sad, you can just come back and read about these moments in the past and say, oh, that's something that really sounds and looks and smells good for us. So we're speaking about, of course, how you can train your brain to notice glimmers. And we were speaking about different situations in life that could serve as a glimmer in stories. But also what we did, we were speaking about the conversations with people, with different people, and how those conversations can manifest the glimmers for both sides. Yeah. Does it look like a little bit dull topic too?
Right. So, what was the coolest thing you did there? What was the coolest thing for you?
During the workshop, you mean, yeah?
Yes, in the workshop.
So what was the glimmering moment for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think I experienced many moments when I would call them the glimmers, and that is always not about what I said, but it was always about other people who shared with me their thoughts, ideas, or discoveries, and that usually drives me in life when it's not a monologue, but this is a dialogue, and then people find something which is so great. People are so talented. They're resourceful, like you, for instance,
Thank you.
When you share something with me, then I'm happy.
Great.
What sounded well for you? I mean, so what was a glimmering moment for you? No.
And why was that a glimmering moment for you?
What?
Like, why is that the coolest? Why is that the coolest thing?
So you mean if I enjoyed some moments during the session, why is it?
Why is it like that?
Yeah, what made them
Exactly.
good for me?
Exactly.
I think honestly that this is about the energies exchange, because we all. It's not about when we exchange words. Actually, we do not exchange words only. We also exchange energies. See? And this is more important. Sometimes I think that even if we sit down there and do not produce a word, but we only sit together, still the energies are mixed and exchanged. And that was a very precious moment. So what makes moments glimmering, this is the exchange of energies, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you for this interview.
I was very happy to be interviewed with you.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello, I would like to interview you. Will you tell me your name?
My name is Bibiana.
Bibiana, what is your connection to Solution Focus and SOLWorld?
So my parents work at the HSLU, Hochschule Luzern in Switzerland, and they they coach people if they have like problems, and that's how I get connected. Like my parents go at this like almost every year, and then I just go with them.
And how old are you, Bibiana?
I'm 10 years old right now.
Do you remember 5 years ago when you were my assistant? You were my co-presenter.
Yes, I remember that.
Can you tell me what you remember about our co-presentation in Switzerland?
Yes, so there was like a table full of like the little characters, like a tablet with cookies, and then there was a cow, and then there was a human in space outfit and other stuff. So then you told me I should say I should tell a story with them. Then I took the cow and I took the cookies and I said, the cow eats the cookies and the cow drinks the milk. And the astronaut eats I think the banana or something. I don't remember that.
And what's your memory of the experience of being interviewed through the toys?
So I don't remember much, but it was really, really cool because I just went for it. There was so much toys and I was so overwhelmed because I wanted those toys at home too, if they were mine. And then I just took two stuff and then I made a story out of them. And it was really cool. It was I think at first I didn't even know I was like interviewed. I didn't even know that I was on camera. So I just thought like the audience was here and you. But and then a bit later I saw that someone is recording me.
I asked you if there was one of those characters that was having a problem, and you were able to come up with such a beautiful solution for the problem. And I use that video still to inspire the learners that I am training.
Really? Oh, great.
What would you like to say to those people that are watching the video of you as a 5-year-old?
It was a long time ago, so I'm much older now. And just that I made something up. So like my creativity, I just took something out. So cows don't eat cookies. And cows don't drink milk either. But yeah, I think the video should show like that no matter how big a problem you have, you're always going to find a great solution.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish our conversation here?
Yes, because wonder always happens, so cows one day might eat cookies.
and perhaps that's true, and they always drink milk when they're babies.
Yeah, when they're babies. But yeah, just take your creativity out and you're always going to find a solution. Maybe it's going to take a bit longer for the solution, and maybe you have to get someone to help you find the solution, but there's always going to be one.